Hi, this is Terry Healy bringing you some extraordinary transformation. I want to thank everybody who's tuned in. You're listening to WVLP at 103.1 FM, also live streaming at WVLP.org. I want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of today's show. It's brought to you by Ryan Everhart from Diamond Residential Mortgage. Don't assume that all mortgage companies are the same or that all loan officers are the same, because they certainly are not. Ryan brings a unique commitment to his clients and their families and their pocketbooks. His office is conveniently located on Route 30 in Valparaiso. He is at 350 Northland Drive. His direct phone line is area code 219-707-8429. Ryan, thank you so much, as always, for supporting my show and supporting community radio. Today I have the first nurse that I have ever had the opportunity to interview. This is a young lady that kind of passed through my radar as I was at a formal event, almost like a black tie event, and those who know me follow social media and could see where I was. But she was being recognized by this group for being exceptional in her industry. And what a treat that was. I was fortunate enough to share her table, and just with a limited conversation and actually just connecting face to face and eye to eye, I knew that there was something pretty exceptional sitting in my table. So I am welcoming Gina Sinwelski, and she is an RN for Franciscan Alliance or Franciscan Health.
Franciscan Health.
Franciscan Health,
Yep.
Thank you. So let's start a little bit, I guess, by conversation about why it was you were being recognized. What was that all about?
So I work with a nephrologist, a kidney doctor, and I had actually just recently won an award at the hospital called the Daisy Award, which he had gotten kind of wind of that, me winning the award and the story behind that. And so he felt like, wow, that is just such an amazing story. I would love to recognize you at this gala. So that's kind of how that all kind of snowballed into that. And yeah, it was such a lovely time.
So then at the gala, they were actually talking about the Daisy Award that you'd won through the hospital system.
Yes.
Gotcha. So the gala, just to let everybody know, is through the Indian Medical Association. Mm-hmm. So the room was like packed with doctors and people in the industry. So like, wow. So if you wanted to meet a doctor, you'd probably want to show up at that organization, because, there they all were for the night. But, okay, gotcha. So I was thinking that it was an award that was, you were being acknowledged or recognized specifically by the Indian Medical Association, but they were actually just bringing you forward because of what you had done.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So tell me, what's the Daisy Award?
Well, the Daisy Award, actually, I just really learned about it when I won the award, so it's kind of silly, but different hospitals participate in it. I believe it was started by a family of a young man that was really sick with an autoimmune disease, and they really wanted to create a program that could be nationwide. Not every hospital does it, but to recognize nurses just for extraordinary work and care. And so that's kind of, basically what the Daisy Award is.
Who decides who gets that?
So if your hospital participates in the Daisy Award, there's actually like a board in each hospital that it kind of goes before that committee, and then they decide, X amount of nurses are usually nominated per month, but then they decide who wins for the month.
Who nominates?
The patients, actually, or the patients or their family members, whoever.
Oh, so it's the community.
Yeah. So there's actually like brochures around the hospital that you can pull out, and then you write your story about like, hey, this nurse was amazing, and I just wanted to recognize him or her. So. Do
you know who nominated you?
I do. Oh. It was actually, It was cool. The husband of a patient I took care of who passed away, and he was just really moved by just that whole story and being with his wife and caring for her in her last moments.
Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
Like, not surprised about that. One of the things that I noticed about Gina when we met was how connected you are. And especially because of the industry that you're in, of like that, I think stands out a little bit more to me, because I look and I think that one of the things we talked about before the show was that, in your industry, in your profession, and also I find it in a lot of teachers, that, the passion that brought you to that job and drug you through all the education and things you've had to go through, I couldn't even imagine, right?
Yeah.
To do what you do. Like, what fueled that for you? It's almost like I don't know if it has the opportunity to express itself correctly. probably in any area, because I'm kind of going hospital, doctor's office, school nurse. I'm kind of scanning my head of like, where do you find a nurse? And I think there's a lot of demands on you guys.
There are, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's almost like, again, similarly with a teacher, is like there's just so much stuff that's coming at you, like from legislators or lawmakers or, the powers that be that create the rules so that we have better qualities of life, I'm sure. It's like, it feels like it takes everything just to perform the task at hand, let alone where is the opportunity to come in and show up for people from your passion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely challenging because, as time goes on, there's so many more things that we have to document now because, we don't want to get sued and we have to make sure if it's not documented, basically it didn't happen. That's what they always tell us. So that really gets in the way of having that interaction with your patient. It's unfortunate, but that's just kind of the way that things are moving. But I just love taking care of people, and I've known that just from a young age that I wanted to choose a career that I was going to be able to hands-on work with people, show them that they were loved, that they're appreciated, that they're cared for, even if they weren't experiencing that in their home life.
Right.
So that's kind of just what fuels me.
Wow. That's big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah.
So you feel like you're able to do that even with all of the requirements.
Sometimes it ends up being that, I'm aware very much during my workday how much I need to give to the computer and start charting. But there's moments where you just have to say, you know what, that can wait. I'll stay a little later tonight. I want to talk with them or just get their story or, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's the patient first. Yeah. And so the documenting, the charting, it can wait.
I have a funny feeling that you're one of the few that have that intention or that philosophy about it. And it certainly isn't to bring criticism to anybody else who does what you do in the way that they do it. Yeah. I think everybody's doing the best they can with what they know. I think that we all operate that way. Right. But it's almost like that. I just look and I remember the last time my son was hospitalized, and I just could feel the amount of work that's on your shoulders. And this was obviously a hospital setting, right? So, as an inpatient, I remember feeling like those nurses just had so much that we couldn't connect, and I'd like to connect, and then they just couldn't. So my curiosity is always looking for solutions to things, so, wouldn't it be nifty if you're assuming that you're not the only one with a similar intention that you have to bring to that, of cultivating that within the industry. It's not I don't think that the answer is necessarily going in and shaking up hospital settings or that sort of thing and going, it could be done a lot differently, because I think, again, they're doing the best they can. Right. But maybe from a ground floor up, is there a way to connect nurses that have that or need that or have lost that or misplaced it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a cool thing, right?
That would definitely be a cool thing. Mm-hmm.
What's available to nurses to support you that way?
That's a great question.
Yeah, because I got nothing.
I don't really know about that either.
I don't think there's anything out there like that that could bring that to the conversation. Yeah. Huh, interesting.
Actually, no, I didn't. Yeah.
So, did you ever think about that there's something that calls you or pulls you that's bigger than what you do in the day-to-day?
Well, yeah. So, basically, I was raised in a Christian family, and so I've just had these, just basically everything that I do, I center around my beliefs of God and just. Jesus is love, and I just want to show that to everybody and not just at work. Right. And so that's really just what fuels me in my day-to-day.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you've done a mission trip.
I've done actually several mission trips. Oh. It is my favorite thing to do, and I have not done one in quite some time, so I need to get back out there. But I've been to Tijuana twice. I've been to Brazil in kind of a more poor area. I went to New Orleans after the hurricane.
Wow.
I've been to, where else did I go? I went to Nashville, or no, it wasn't Nashville. It was like North Carolina area, also in like not a very nice area where people just really needed some help. We did most of the trips, actually all the trips that I've done have been more like construction based.
Okay.
My dad is a carpenter, retired
gotcha.
now. And so I was always around like power tools, and I like to get in there. I like to build things. I like to be creative in that way. And so that's always just been something I love to do. But more than that, now that I'm a nurse, I would love to go overseas and help people that don't have medical care.
Yeah.
That is like something I have been aching to do. And
Really?
so I just need maybe the opportunity, the time off of work, etc., to be able to do that. But that is something that I want to do many times.
Yeah, that pulls you.
Mm-hmm.
The have you been at Franciscan long enough to get time off of work? I mean, is there
Definitely.
Okay.
I feel like it's usually, there's always something fueling me to work overtime to pay this or to pay that off or whatever the case may be. And so I kind of always tuck it aside, but it's still in the back of my head. So I feel in the coming year or so I should probably be able to go on a trip. Yeah.
When you do those sort of things, are they long time that you have to go away? Or?
So the medical ones, I think, usually are at least a week to 2 weeks.
Okay.
I think you can always choose to go longer.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What would you choose?
Most trips that I've done traditionally were for at least like 10 days. So I would want to do something at least that long.
Yeah, I'm thinking if you're going to go overseas.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go through all that, the expense, everything, it feels too short to be there for any less time than that.
Yeah, it does to me too. Because how much of that is travel? Just
right, exactly.
Getting
Lots
to and
of
fro.
travel.
Yeah, lots of travel.
Yeah.
Any idea where that would be? What that would look like?
Well, I actually had a friend from the UK, and her dad's a doctor, and he does these trips, and he goes with, I think it's Mercy ships.
Okay.
So it's like a cruise liner that is a hospital, like on the water.
Okay.
And they just kind of go to different ports all over. I think a lot of times they're in Africa.
Okay.
And kind of just pull up there, and then, people that need surgery, people that, whatever.
Wow.
And that's just
surgery.
They do all sorts of things on these.
I didn't picture that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Definitely.
So what an interesting way to serve different places now then too. Then you're not just like stationary, and not that would be bad.
Right.
Traveling from place to, that is really a neat thought.
It is. It's a great concept.
I like that.
Yeah.
And then they just have you serve in the best way that you can? Like you just
I think they just kind of, based on your experience and the area that you work, in the hospital that you work in, they place you where you would be appropriate. So.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What exactly do you do where you are now?
So I work in the ICU,
okay,
intensive care unit. I've worked in many different units before, but I actually just in the start of this year, in January, I started in the ICU. And it's been obviously like the most challenging because the patients are the sickest in the hospital, so they're very complex. They've got more than one problem going on, and it's a balancing act of keeping them going.
Right.
We see a lot of death. We see, unfortunately, that's when they're that sick, that's something that we see quite often. It can be exhausting emotionally to be around that all the time, but it's also so rewarding when you see those patients that come in and you think, wow, I don't know they're going to make it through the night. To see them pull through and come out of that and come back and they're walking and they're talking and they're interacting again is just amazing to be a part of.
I can only imagine that.
Yeah.
Especially when you don't want to get your hopes up for that, when you see someone come in for your care.
Yeah.
Do you have opportunity to bring your faith to that job?
I do. Being that I work in a Catholic facility, I think it's maybe more welcomed just because we have priests and pastors and people all around. I can remember a time I took care of a young lady about a year ago who was just like maybe 10 years older than me and had stage 4 breast cancer. And we just, like, she was constantly in the hospital, and so I was, like, always her nurse, I felt like, and we just had, like, this really strong bond. Like, she was more than my patient, she was, like, my friend. Yeah. And I can remember a day that was literally, I will never forget it. It was a day that they decided, she and her family decided that she was going to be a do not resuscitate. So if anything were to happen to her, she didn't want to go through having CPR or any of that. She just wanted to go peacefully. And that was literally gut-wrenching for me. I had to, like, sit in the nurse's station for a minute with the bracelet in my hand that I had to put around her wrist, and just, like, take some deep breaths and the little prayer, and then walked in her room, and I was like, okay, I need to put another bracelet on your wrist. And she's like, what's this for? And then I explained to her, this is what you've decided. And she just broke into tears. I broke into tears, and I just said, can I pray for you? Because, like, I don't even know what to do in this moment. It is such a heavy moment. Yeah. And I didn't feel like I could just walk out of the room and say nothing, you know? So, yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's incredible. Mm-hmm. I'm grateful that you're able to bring that. Yeah. Because I think that you're right. There are probably a lot of facilities that you couldn't bring mm-hmm. that gift.
Yeah, not every hospital has, like, some kind of religious affiliation, and so I don't know that it's always welcomed, but right. I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. Yeah, because that's a very strong conversation. Yeah. Within Franciscan. This I know. Yeah. Wow, that's fabulous. Mm. Thank you for sharing that story. Yeah. I want to go back to the mission trips, though, because I can kind of see that coming around the corner, maybe sooner than later. Yeah. For you, especially with the connection with the doctor in the UK. Mm-hmm. You know, is that the only thing that has struck your fancy or kind of piqued your interest?
I don't really know that I know all too much about medical missions otherwise than the Mercy ships. I know there's other. I think there's another. Like, company that does the same thing with the cruise liner, but I know there's other ones that just go into, like, poor villages and have, like, a hospital there, and you're kind of just living amongst the people in their village.
That's so, kind of, well, I think that's probably what I was picturing.
Yeah, and I'm kind of open to all things here. Right. We'll see.
Yeah. So anyone who's listening that's connected, and I know that there are people out there that are, reach out, message me, let me know, and I'll connect anything that you have to offer. We'll get it over to Gina so she has something to start thinking about. Yeah. Start making the plans for. Mm-hmm. What do you see? I mean, I kind of want to scope out back in going into the industry, you know, in the job setting. What do you see coming in the nursing industry?
Well, I think that things are just becoming more and more high-tech these days, and so I can see that, I don't know, it's probably going to become a lot more, like, robotic type things going on than we're seeing, and maybe more things that I already have seen, like, you can have a doctor appointment on your phone virtually. So I feel like more things like that happening. I don't know. I don't think that there will be ever an elimination of the nurse, though, because we're pretty vital to caring for patients. Yeah. But, yeah.
Is it possible that kind of a slant, or if that's, and I believe you're right, we're probably heading that direction, could actually allow you all collectively to do the job from the place that you really want to do the job, or more of it?
Maybe so. Yeah. I know I'm not the only nurse that feels this way. I think a lot of nurses that went into this career wanting to care for people feel the same way. You know. So.
You mean as far as still being able to show your passion?
Yeah, show your passion and interact with them more than just like, okay, here's your medicine, here's this, here's that. I gotta go chart. Bye.
Right.
You know.
And it could be just the world according to me, or the nurses I've met, or in my walk of life, but it seems like the majority of them are the ones that have to do it that way. Not that they would choose to do it, but they have to do it that way. Yeah. Of, like, just getting through the basic requirement of care and then not having the opportunity to connect, even if you chose to stay late like you do, maybe sometimes to get your charting done. Mm-hmm. So wow, I can, it feels like you're like in the right place. Like you're,
Oh, definitely.
yeah, you're in
Yeah.
the right department, you're doing the right thing, and the right opportunities will present themselves. I'm curious about like the thought that I had about like creating some sort of a support, not a network, but a tool for others that are going through what you all are going through. How to, because I just say like if something like that can be created, that it would kind of raise up the entire profession. And sometimes, I don't know, it's got to be more than just a collective understanding. So I'm sure you have other friends that are nurses and you're all experiencing the same sort of thing, but maybe bringing something new or innovative to the conversation to help you all through. Because y'all make it important for us to get through, right? Yeah. Who you are affects, wow, how you show up affects the journey of the patient.
Yeah.
Wow, I just got that. That's a big aha moment.
Yeah.
Wait a second. That could really change. I'm feeling like if somebody were like teetering, like that could actually bring enough to get them to the right, hopefully end conversation for themselves.
Yeah.
Is having that. How long have you been nursing?
I have been a nurse for, we're approaching the 5-year mark, not quite there yet. So
okay.
Over 4 years. Yeah.
Wow. I have to tell you, it strikes me as remarkable, just the connectedness that you have. Especially in that length of time. I would probably have expected to hear more of like, not that but I've been a nurse for a couple of months, like until it got worn out of you, till you couldn't perform that way. Yeah. If you were to create something that would support the nursing profession, what would that look like? That's a big question. I didn't think was going to come up.
That is a big question.
Yeah.
I may need to revisit that one, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think that as nurses, we are really good at supporting one another.
Really?
I could not do what I do without the nurses that I'm with every day. We are a family. When I'm having trouble in my room, I'm like, hey, so-and-so, please come in and help me. And we are very much like a family mentality. And I know that that's not maybe in every unit in every hospital, but I'm fortunate enough to work with like the most amazing nurses. And we really hold each other up. And if someone is struggling or if someone is behind, we do what we can to just help one another out. And that is priceless. And that's what keeps me going back to work on those days where I do feel burned out.
Sure.
Knowing like, hey, I've got people around me that have my back.
Right.
So. And
can maybe pick up some of the heavy lifting in times that you can't.
Definitely.
Yeah, I didn't know that existed.
Yeah.
Huh.
Definitely.
Well, it's something I'd love for you to give some thought to.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what?
Most definitely.
Yeah, outside of, I guess, and I love what you just described. It's like profound. Wow. But like something outside of that to help support. Just kind of, just a thought. A thought I've had of like, that'd be an interesting thing to bring forward. I like it because I think we all win. So when you were young and you were trying to figure out, when did it dawn on you to enter this profession?
Oh, this is an interesting story. So when I was like a young girl, like, elementary age or so, maybe middle school, I really knew like that whatever I chose, it was going to be something that I was helping people. And I definitely felt like it was going to be something medical. I would play doctor a lot. That was something I liked. And then I remember as I got older, got into high school, that my mom, she works in the medical field, or she's retired now as well, but she works as a occupational therapy assistant.
Okay.
And so she worked mostly in like nursing home settings, but I remember my senior year, I took a kinesiology class, which was kind of like sports medicine type thing. We learned about the body, and I love everything science, and learning about the human body is just like, it's amazing how everything is so intricate and everything works together. And so taking that course really just excited me. And my mom was like, I think you would be an amazing physical therapist. And I was like, okay, yeah. And I looked into it and like, what does that look like? What's the timeline for that? And decided, yeah, I'm going to go for that. So I went to Purdue Calumet, now called Purdue Northwest in Hammond. And I got a degree that was kind of like a well-rounded like science degree. It's a super long name, but it's like hospitality and tourism management with fitness management.
Oh,
Super long thing. I just call it fitness management because that's just a mouthful. But you have to take like your anatomy classes and your chemistry and all the science classes, and then you learn about like exercise physiology. And that was my stepping stone degree to get into grad school to go into like physical therapy. So I worked my butt off to, get through that program, graduated in 4 years, did an additional year of prerequisite classes that I needed to get into grad school, took my GRE. So everything I needed to do, applied to one school because I didn't want to go to any other school, and I didn't want to have to commute like super far or live in Chicago or live in Indy. So I thought, you know what, I can drive if I just go to this one school. So I put all my eggs in one basket, and sadly found out that I just missed it, didn't get in.
oh,
And being an out-of-state applicant was kind of my disadvantage. They took the in-state people first, and so I was like, well,
don't know why.
whatever. I mean, they definitely get like first pick more so. So anyway, that being said, at the time I was a personal trainer. I worked at the Y. I had been doing that, like, I was actually an internship, and then I just never quit from my senior year of college. And so I started doing personal training there. My client, that was also kind of became a good friend of mine, was a nurse practitioner. And I remember I came, I came into work one day, and she was going to be my client for the evening. And so I told her, like, man, I'm super bummed. Like, I didn't get in to that school for physical therapy. And she's like, well, yeah, I actually think you'd be a really good nurse. And I was like, okay, you're just saying that because you're a nurse. Like, stop.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I'm serious. Like, I think you would be an amazing nurse. And I was kind of like, to be honest, quite ignorant to what nurses do. I kind of just thought, like, they give you like a shot in the arm, or here's your pills, and just like the basic things, and obviously the not so glamorous things like cleaning people up after they go to the bathroom. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, that's not an interest of mine. And needless to say, we chatted about it the rest of her session and a little bit thereafter. And then that night I went home. I checked out, there was an accelerated nursing program she told me about that was offered by Purdue. The Purdue that I graduated from, same campus. And it's like you get your bachelor's degree in 16 months. It's like the fast track.
Wow, that's a fast track.
And so you have to already have a current bachelor's degree to be able to get into it. So like literally the next day I applied, or made the appointment to meet with the advisor, and then the day after that I met with him. I signed my name on the dotted line. And I had to wait a little bit to find out. I think it was a few months of waiting to make sure that I got accepted, which I was like,
right,
hang on the edge
That's
of my
a long
seat.
Time.
Yep. And then I found out, I think it was like in the fall that this happened, so like in March I found out I got in, and then I started in the fall of that year. It was 2013. I graduated in December of 2014, and it was just like boom, like done. And then like, okay,
there you are.
time to start working.
Yeah.
So
what was surprising about being a nurse that you didn't anticipate?
Well, I started to just realize that that nursing was literally like the right thing for me when I realized how much they advocate for patients. We're always like, on their side. Like sometimes a doctor may say like, hey, go do this. And I'm like, not to overstep their authority, but like you're there to also like defend them and speak up for them.
Okay, this is new.
Yeah. So nurses do so much more than just like pass medicine and clean people up and do all that.
Yeah.
We're it's like multifaceted, and it's really cool.
Well, and it makes sense to me that advocate thing that you just said's eye-opening to me. It's something I never thought about.
Yeah.
But like you're the one that's with that patient throughout a shift or days or however long you've got them.
Yep.
And a doctor, we love our doctors, but aren't there they don't have that hands-on.
Right. And so really, everyone's like, oh, be a doctor, be a doctor. You know what? I like actually what I do better, because the doctors are like giving the orders, but the nurse is running the show.
Yeah, right.
Totally. And so I know more of what's going on with their patient than they know. And I am like the mouthpiece that needs to tell them, hey, this is what's going on with your patient, blah, blah, blah.
And that I have heard so many times. Here's a question, and this is kind of fun for me. I've actually never had the opportunity to explore all this with somebody who's a nurse. I know years past, there was definitely a hierarchy that impacted like the influence that a nurse was able to have. I think being an advocate for a patient, but where a lot of times their opinions were dismissed or they were trumped, by the degree of the doctor. Is that still out there?
It definitely is. Lots of different personalities of doctors that I work with. Yeah. Some doctors don't really want to get your 2 cents on it. They just want to tell you what to do, and that's okay. That's fine. But a lot of the doctors I work with, I'm fortunate enough that they, are wanting to hear what I have to say and wanting to hear, like, hey, this is what's going on, and I think maybe this might be a good thing for them, or this medicine, or whatever. And not that I do that like all the time, but yeah, it's definitely...
I'm sure you do it when you feel you need to. Mm-hmm. Yeah, without a doubt. Are there doctors that maybe, and I'm just curious, that feel that you're on a lower level than they are? I mean, it's a completely different level that you're at,
Mm-hmm. I think that exists still. Yeah.
I've heard some of that, but my hope is that becomes less and less.
I think more doctors, honestly though, I think that more doctors value their nurses than anything.
Good.
The other ones that maybe don't are pretty few and far between, that I've noticed at least.
Okay, so then that is a shift. Uh-huh. That was my thinking that had happened, but it sounds like it has happened, because that's what your experience has been. Yeah. In 5 years. Is this the only hospital setting you've worked at?
I previously used to work at Franciscan Health in Hammond. I worked there for about just over a year. Okay. Kind of got my feet wet. I did a lot of my clinical stuff from school at that campus, and so I knew the campus, and I was able to get into that hospital pretty quickly when I applied. Just given all of that. But I did kind of desire to transfer over to Crown Point, so an opportunity kind of arose, and I was able to do that. So,
what made you want to come to Crown Point?
Mostly that I wanted to relocate, just move this way.
Physically relocate.
Physically move. Okay. Not that I lived all that far, but I just really enjoyed the area.
Gotcha. So I didn't know if it was what was available to you professionally at different campuses. Mm-hmm. That you would have more opportunity to go where you felt more resonant. So I had shared before our show that I interviewed a gal from Franciscan, and we talked a lot about the new Safe Baby box that was just installed in Hammond and how cool that is. Yeah.
That is so cool.
That is so cool. I love that. What I love about Franciscan is that they're progressive that way. Mm-hmm. Because I think this was not the only place that the person that organized that, that created all that good stuff, approached, but that this was an opening for it. So... Yeah. So no desire to head any other direction or do anything different within the setting, or?
So my desire, actually, I'm gonna have to do a couple more than a couple more years of being an ICU nurse. I would love to work with kids one day.
Okay. Yeah.
I remember my pediatric rotation in school was my favorite, because let's be honest, I am a kid at heart, and so being with kids is just I feel like I come alive even more so. But I've really appreciated working with adults too. I think I just like people in general, but actually, what I would like to do next, if the door's open for it, is to be a flight nurse. I recently went to...
Oh my!
Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool stuff.
What is that?
So I recently went to a trauma conference that was hosted by the University of Chicago. They have a whole flight team. And so, flight nurses are there to... Basically, they arrive on the scene if there's like a bad accident, people are getting airlifted to hospitals. People are airlifted from hospital to hospital to get, more appropriate care or higher level of care. So definitely you have to have like that critical care experience before you can even be a part of that.
Wow.
But it's super cool, and I think I like to live on the edge. I feel like it's almost similar to, not that I'm totally likening it to being in the military, but like just the things that you would see that it could be like, having some post-traumatic stress from that, just seeing those kinds of things.
Sure.
But
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. This is eye-opening, can I just tell you?
Yeah.
Like, so many things I wasn't
Well,
aware
and
of.
I really didn't have much of a background in understanding that there was such a position as a flight nurse. And when I found out, I was just like so excited about it. I was like, oh, this seems like something up my alley. I don't know.
Yeah. I think, if you're called to it, like, even if you have the idea of it, it's because it's something bigger than you and I that it's going tap, tap, tap. Just listen to that. You know? So you have to put in a couple more years of the ICU in order to qualify to apply for that?
If I was going to specifically work, I think, for the University of Chicago and their flight crew, you have to have 5 years of like ICU or ER experience, and then at least 1 year of working in a pediatric ICU, which I would have to go to probably like Chicago or Indianapolis to get that experience.
Sure.
Just because you are also airlifting children, unfortunately.
That makes sense.
So you have to have both adult and pediatric experience.
Interesting.
So I still, I'm not even a year in ICU, so I have some years ahead of me before I get there. But we'll see what happens.
Okay. Because there will be other things to do in the meantime.
Most definitely.
There will be mission trips following and things like that you'll end up doing.
Yeah.
What an interesting, when you say that, I'm thinking, well, I could just see you doing something for Riley or, any of those.
Mm-hmm.
So you could bring in that, whatever's tugging at you from that angle, and then also working with the kids. Like, it would just kind of bring it all together.
Yeah.
In a different conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that you're a
cool.
risk taker. I like that you don't shy away from something that somebody else would go, ew,
Yeah, I like a challenge.
Yeah, you obviously. Obviously. So you mentioned like post-traumatic stress that might be coming out of that kind of I just don't think about things like that.
Yeah. Well, and even in the setting that I work in the hospital, in the ICU, I can remember just a couple months ago, it was like every shift or at least once or twice a week, I had a patient that was, family decided to remove them and take them off of life support. And it gets really draining fast. So much so that like people would be like, hey, how you doing? How's work? And I was like, and just start crying because it's heavy. And most of these patients that are that sick, you're taking care of them for a while. You're developing like a bond with them or with their family. And it's hard to be around that all the time. I know a lot of nurses almost start to just become like jaded and numb to it because you just don't even want to emotionally connect.
Plug in.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's,
It didn't, I never had the insight that you are creating a relationship with that patient. And I'm imagining it doesn't matter even if they're communicative or conscious.
Right.
You're caring for them.
Yeah.
You're touching them. You're... Wow. And what hit me when you were describing is to be a part of that journey for a person or their family is you are also experiencing loss.
Yeah. And even though I may not have known this person for longer than a week or a few days, it's still like another human dying, so.
And to whatever degree, it's a human that you've invested in.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's amazing. Yeah. Gina, that is eye-opening. There's so much about what you're sharing. I can't even begin to thank you for all of it. And I'm just like, I'm going to drive away, and for the next few days, I'm going to have to work through the things that you just brought to light. And I know I'm not the only person without that awareness. Anyone who's tuning in, take a listen to this, because what I know is that having that awareness will will allow me to bring more compassion to those that do what you do. You know, and it's not that I haven't been in a judgmental place about the disconnection or that you guys are just kind of surviving all this on your shoulders. Is but just the awareness. I mean, and if I can bring more compassion to you, then doesn't that all just kind of spread out?
Yeah.
You know, amongst all of us. So, and I don't know why I get a strong feeling that you're just really here to do some very unique and amazing things here in the world. You know, much, I think even like beyond the mission work, to be honest with you, because you're really talking about it. I'm like, my thought was like, yes, and, you know, was where I went. I was like, okay, yeah, I can see you doing all that. I can so see you doing the ship thing. That's like so cool, right?
Yeah.
And almost kind of fun, you know, because
Totally.
then you're experiencing the protocol, you're experiencing the connectivity that you're having in the way that you're doing it on the seas. But that so what my sense is that there's something bigger out there. There's something even more, and by bigger, it's almost like more reaching, if that makes any sense. Like I could just see like there's something there for you to do that so goes beyond the lives that you touch and the tangibles and you know, like how you're doing your day to day and how you do your missions. Have you ever had thoughts about doing anything bigger with them? Good. Because it's very clear to me. It's like hundreds of thousands of lives. Yeah. So I can have a good way of sensing that about people. I can do that really, really easily, and I'm very grateful for the gift of it. But so I do. What I can't get myself around though is how it's going to show up, how it's going to look for you.
That's
No
the
clarity
adventure.
yet. No, nothing yet. Oh, how funny! Because like I so can see, I can so see you putting pen to paper, like writing. If that's writing a book or writing.
I could say that that's been a desire of mine, without really tangibly knowing how or when or any of those details. Yeah. But like, I could see myself writing a book one day.
I can so see you writing a book. I'm glad you see it because I saw it. That was the first thing that came. But it was like, well, I don't know what that would be like. What would it be about? But definitely something from a place of inspiration. That's how that shows up for me, for you, with you. So it certainly would not be a textbook. Okay, so it's not going to be like that. But so I guess like my thought, you know, would be: have you ever felt the urge to like document some of the things that you're going through, or the things you see, or the lives that are touched?
Like journaling, you're saying maybe?
Kind of. Not really. No, not journaling.
Okay.
No, it's coming in more like a storytelling.
Okay.
Like a storytelling. Like sharing, like just in the things that you shared with me in the last 40 minutes have been like, I will walk out of here and I will be forever altered by our conversation. Yeah. What a gift that is, right? Because now wherever I walk, that touch goes that farther. But there's just, well, obviously, unique ways about the way that you experience your work, how you've been able to hold on to your passion and what fueled you. I love the story about how you got into the profession.
Yeah.
Like, is that not perfect? Like, you almost sort of didn't quite make it into, well, of course.
Yeah.
Because you were needed over here. Yeah. So, that's in and of itself a good story. The stories of the walk of your patients would be profound. From the perspective that you bring, number one, as a nurse, but more importantly, as the person you are, being a nurse. That's what's unique. I don't know why that's important to be shared, but what I know is that it is. I don't get any feeling of how that's supposed to impact the masses, but I'm really clear that it's supposed to. So, my guidance, my coaching, my coaching would be, if I were going to give you homework, it would be to start to chronicle that. And it may be that, because I know you got a lot going on, I know you got a lot of work on your plate and other things you're doing, right? And a life you're living, is you can do it audibly, you can record it, and there are places that transcribe for 10 cents or $1 a minute, they'll transcribe your stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it's not like you just sit down and write it, carry it around, but just things like that. Yeah. Is there a sense of, that feels kind of right, maybe, sort of?
It does.
Yeah, because it should feel that way, because it feels very right to me. I also like my sense of it is that it doesn't need a specific audience.
Mm-hmm.
So if part of you says, well, who's going to read it? Who is going to be impacted by it? And it's almost like you don't want to write for that audience. You want to share what's going on in the way that it's coming through you, right? The way it's coming through you, Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. And then kind of then as it comes together, I have a funny feeling it'll point its way toward the audience that it needs to. But the sense that I get is a very universal, like almost like a chicken soup for the soul kind of concept that anybody could pick it up and read it.
Yeah.
Not that it's, real lasered in on anything particularly, but I think it would be a good exercise to learn to chronicle that and to document that. And then let's pay somebody else to put it all together.
Right. Seriously.
Because I was going to say, like you do when you go on vacation, but when you go on vacation, you're going to be touching more lives. Hello. I don't know that you're ever going to get like a non-working vacation for a while. So you get enough on your plate. You don't need to like sitting and, writing a book out of that. But, and I could be very, very wrong, and I know I've been trying to lead here for a little bit in our conversation, and I think that, okay, this was also something that I sensed when I met you, and just the brief exchange that we had, which was, hi, you look real interesting to me, here's take a card, let's do a radio show, is that there's something about you and how you've shown up and how you've been walking the walk you walk, and almost like a sense of being groomed, like you're coming along your journey and you're coming into who you are, and that I could be very wrong, and I'm not usually very wrong, but you're here to not only impact your profession, because that's loud to me, is that you're actually here to impact the world.
Thank you. You're giving me goosebumps.
That's God telling you we're spot on. That's how he does it. Yeah, when you get them and I get them, that's like ding, 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 ding. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So I think that's why it's coming to me pretty clearly that, if you wanted to move forward in this, that to start to document that way, in a way that's gentle and easy for you to do it. So it could be something that you're talking into the voice recorder on your phone as you're driving home. That you get used to doing it. Because my concern and my feeling is this. First is that I don't think you're going to get much farther along the line without really being pulled to do this kind of thing. I think you're going to text me in a year and you're going to go, Terry, oh my goodness, now I've got to start doing this. Like you're just going to get that. You're just going to get that sensation. But that almost like what my concern is that some of the stories, not that they'll be forgotten, but they won't convey the same way.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Because they just lose some of it, as time goes on. We forget some of the details. And I don't, aside of like not trying to define who it is that you're supposed to impact and touch and speak to, that is more of a sense of don't, like, I'm trying to put it into words, that you don't want to worry about how you're saying or what you're saying. Like, just however it flows out of you is exactly the way it's supposed to come out of you.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Like, because I think sometimes we think, oh, this is why I'm doing this. So it comes out of you because of it's coming from that intention. So to remove the intention, to remove the audience. Don't even think about the audience. The stories come as the stories come.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't imagine that you're only going to write one book. Sorry, just saying. Just putting it out there. But there's just such a and so the next piece of it, which is kind of where I was originally heading, but is that there's something so deep and profound about you that is palpable when someone meets you. That it's just like how you're supposed to serve here is so much bigger and grander than how you're currently serving. Not to diminish that, but it's big. It's big. You're welcome. You know that's true, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, good. So I love that you love what you do, and I don't see you not doing everything you described to me. Is like, of course she's going to do that. Of course she's going to lift kids across the United States. Of course she's going to do that. But it's like, so to say that kind of the first feeling in the sense that I got when we started this interview was that it's not just in a book written form, though it is there. I get that feeling of it's like it's face to face. It's a tangible. It's a touchable thing. It's a group of people that you're supporting and encouraging and lifting in a big way. So that was where I was first heading. Was like, you should ever think about how do you support other nurses? Let's think about that. Because that was the first sense I got, is like how. What an incredible thing it would be to be in the profession, burn out, because you all work so hard. I've never met a nurse who wasn't a worker bee. You're just wired that way.
Yep.
Yeah, it's part of the whole thing. And then, what would it feel like to have something available through what you bring? Just waking up and being you every day, not even putting on your uniform, just being you, that could help support a person in that space. And maybe even just beyond like a day-to-day support, but like almost like a reconnection to that which got them up and out and through their education and all the things you did to be you, right? Wouldn't that be amazing? That's how it came to me. That was the first sense I got about you. It was like, oh, she could like really, really change the profession. You really could.
Yeah.
Have huge impact there. So yeah, as that starts to unveil itself, because I have a funny feeling it's gonna find me. Yeah, track me down. Use me as a resource of that. Let me know how it's going as you get there. And it may be a while till you say, hey, Terry, do you remember me? Of course. This is now I got what you were saying, and what do you think about that? And what do you think about this? I'm happy to kick that around and brainstorm that. You're welcome. You're welcome. In the world according to Terry and other people as well, there are no accidents ever. And even though we may not understand why something happens and the way that it happens because it's supposed to happen. So like this is again I roll pretty deep. You're like, yeah, I got that. Okay, so I tend to go very deep quickly if that's excessive. But almost like if what I sense about you and the just the few contributions that I can see you making in the world required that you needed that seed to be planted the seed that you already had planted to be watered a little bit, you know. So it's almost like somebody bigger than you and I said, let's just put Terry at that table. Because I wasn't supposed to sit at that table. Let's put Terry at that table, and we'll put Gina right there too. Because that's what needs to happen for you to go do and be the big things that you're here to be. Is that daunting?
No.
Good. I'm glad. Because that's a very big conversation. And I don't want it to feel that way, because I'm like excited for you. Like, wow, good. This is all the cool stuff I was like picking up and sensing about you without even knowing. I just knew there was something really big there. Or something. It's I want to say, like, to say that there is something amazing about you doesn't even begin to get words to you. That's a word that's like, no, it's bigger. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. Yeah, so it'll be, whether or not we ever stay connected or we ever cross paths again, I will keep my radar open to watch to see what develops for you in your life, and where you end up, how you end up, as you end up serving here, serving there. You've got a lot of things you're going to do here, and you're just kind of like starting. Lovely, young, starting, all this passion, all this great stuff that you bring, and just babies, just a baby, you're just a baby. And it's not about your age, it's just like, oh, it's just a baby, just got so far to go, and how neat it's going to be to watch what as it comes. Not when it shows up, but as it's kind of coming up will be really amazing to be a part of that. So I won't change my cell phone number, but you gotta promise to stay connected as this grows, and that sort of thing. So like, I have to tell you how grateful I am that you opened your door and let us have this conversation today. Because you could have said, no, that's not up my alley. Radio show, no, I don't want to do that, Terry. In a day or so, I hope that when this all kind of settles in and sinks in, for you, that you remember the gratitude that I have. It is a profound honor to be sitting alongside somebody that I'm gonna hope you catch it by the weekend. Like, how it feels to be me, and to be connected to you, and to see and to sense what I sense. It's like lucky me. So
thank you, Terry. I am just blown away with everything you just said, and I feel beyond grateful that we ended up at the same table. And that I met you. And when you said, would you like to be on my radio show? Inside I said no, but my mouth said yes, and here I am. So
thank you. Well, probably because you're a risk taker.
Yes.
We'll go do that. I don't know.
Let's try that.
Yeah, we'll try that out. I've never thought about doing that.
Yeah.
Wonderful. This has been a profound experience.
Definitely.
On that note, I'm going to go ahead and thank everybody who's been tuning in. You've been listening to WVLP at 103.1 FM, also live streaming at WVLP.org. Today's show has been brought to you by Ryan Everhart with Diamond Residential Mortgage. If you're looking for someone who will take the time to make sure that you understand what you're doing when you get a mortgage, contact Ryan. That's really, really important to him, not just to push somebody through the paperwork and get them through to the end step, but to understand why, so that you can be assured and understand why you're making the right decisions when you go to get a mortgage. So if you need one to purchase or refinance a home, contact him. He is located on Route 30 in Valparaiso. He's at 350 Northland Drive. His phone number is area code 219-707-8429. Again, Ryan, thank you. Everybody have a wonderful week, and Gina, thank you so much.